What is up, guys? We're in here on a Tuesday. ZBCN KOTAPAY pre-recorded spaces reaction and some SIBOS Deutsche Bank nuggets of wisdom. Back in here, my guy BTM. But as always, cue my guy Indigo Saint. Let's get it. Boom. Let's get it. Indigo Saint in the building. Blackrue Investing. Let's go.
Who's this producer?
Best believe it was Blackrue Investing. With your money, you ain't gotta be guessing. Profits is what we manifesting. So we binge on that Blackrue Investing. Best believe it was Blackrue Investing. Got course in this race, we ain't resting. We got stocks, we got crypto with a blessing. Just thank God for that Blackrue Investing. Best believe it was Blackrue Investing.
And Q sponsor DCENT Wallet now.
Your crypto deserves the best protection. So why settle for less? DCENT Crypto Wallet isn't just another wallet. It's safe, secure, easy to use, and supports your favorite cryptocurrencies all at the touch of a button. And now with my exclusive link, you'll save $30 on your new wallet. Better security, smarter investing, $30 in your pocket. Click on the link now and secure your better security today.
$30 off for one, $99 off for two. If you want to help the channel, that's one of the best ways to help the channel and yourself. Yeah, I saw someone bought a DCENT wallet yesterday. Really appreciate that. I really love DCENT wallet. It's really easy to swap on there. You just swap within the phone app and away we go, right? No need to kind of take out your crypto, put it on the exchange, swap it, then put it back. No need for that. And we also did an AMA with DCENT wallet. So if you're new to crypto and you really want to understand, okay, why use a wallet? What's the purpose of that? Check out the AMA on our channel. It will be in the live stream section. So what is up, my guy, BTM? What's up, brother? How you doing?
Nothing much. Getting ready for another pretty good show. A lot of interesting information and a lot of, I guess, information to get out to the ZBCN family and the ZBCN army, trying to educate the community. So anxious to hear what you got to say and what word we can spread to the ZBCN community.
I see my guy, Crypto Future, in the house today. What is up, Rob? Appreciate you being here, brother. And a lot of regulars in the house, as always. What's up, Dave F., Crypto Boomin', that one guy, Argentum, New Wave, 2239, Pharmacopoeia, Steve Mariano, Hitter All Day, Yazi Yair Bay, what's up? Bay in the house. E Mays, Jose De La Torre. It's always like we're with family over here, guys. I appreciate you guys always checking in and catching the show. I mean, I really appreciate it. So without ado, let's go straight into the SIBOS interview first, and then we'll catch into the KOTAPAY interview. I know we've been expecting the KOTAPAY interview for quite a while, and they finally gave it to us, but they gave it to us pre-recorded this time. I suspect it's because they had so many problems doing it live. They were just like, let's just pre-record this. Let's just do it and put it out for them because we have too many problems doing it live, right? So that's definitely understandable. So let me go ahead, share the screen here. And apparently this is Christian, I'm going to say Sewing. That seems right. Christian Sewing, CEO Deutsche Bank, addresses the opening preliminary. And let's hear what Christian has to say here. Let me know if the sound is good, everybody. And again, this is a reaction. So I'm going to talk and pause at certain times. If you want to hear the whole thing without interruption, go over to SIBOS TV and check it out yourself there. But we will have interruptions during it. Okay, so let's go.
And let me highlight 4 key challenges. First,
Whoop. Let's put it at regular speed, and let me know if you guys can hear it.
geopolitical challenges will lead to significant shifts in value chain and trade patterns, forcing us to continuously review and redefine our positioning and our processes. Second, we must expect the regulatory environment to further diverge, both across region and among banks and non-bank competitors. And this will lead to greater fragmentation.
Okay, can you guys hear it? And do you want me to get rid of or leave the captions? So I know sometimes it's a little bit harder to understand on people who have like an accent. Not a problem, because we can just put the captions up there. I know some people can say, hey, you got an accent too, it's hard to understand you, you know what I mean? So that's not a slight on people with accents at all. And in fact, I love ladies with accents. So, but that's neither here nor there. The way that's neither here nor there. But just do you guys like the captions or not? Let me know. If not, I could take it off. Okay, I'm waiting to see some feedback to see if people can hear the sound well. Thank you, ZBCN, man. What is up, brother? Thank you for reposting the stream. I think we had a couple reposts in here. Thank you already. Thank you guys so much. Captions are good. Okay, perfect. And if you see this, Christian, like, no disrespect to you, I just want to make sure everyone can. Okay, all right, perfect. So let's continue on here. I might go back just to here.
And let me highlight 4 key challenges. First, geopolitical challenges will lead to significant shifts in value chain and trade patterns, forcing us to continuously review and redefine our positioning and our processes. Second, we must expect the regulatory environment to further diverge, both across region and among banks and non-bank competitors. And this will lead to greater fragmentation and complexity, and most likely more competitive disadvantage for Europe. Third, the competitive pressure will increase from all sides, not only within the industry, but also from the outside. As client preferences and flows are shifting, our role as intermediary will be increasingly challenged. Fintechs, big techs, other specialized platform providers are entering traditional banking sectors, seeking to capture significant shares of the revenue pools by owning the client interface. And fourth, the growing importance of technology, especially through AI, is accelerating competition, particularly as customer loyalty towards banks continues to decline. And that's why, going forward, a first-class and seamless customer experience will be more crucial than ever before. No bank can afford to fall even a single step behind the competition in this area. And these are overarching issues that every bank must address going forward. Of course, there are many other topics that can vary significantly depending on the business area, but the first 4 are decisive.
Okay, let's stop right there. So he does mention fintechs, and he mentions, these fintechs are going to cut into the bank's revenue. And on a certain sense, I believe this is true. But honestly, you guys know I've showed you different times how XLR is connected to Deutsche Bank. How Stronghold says they also work with Deutsche Bank. How ZEBEC says that they work with Deutsche Bank. So make no mistake here. The big banks, as much as they try to make it like it's a competition, they're going to work with these fintechs, okay? So there's a reason why he mentioned all of these people, right? He's mentioning it, but the way he's kind of like putting it out there is as if they're kind of competitors, but in a sense, I think there's a lot of cooperation there. Oh, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, you're right. I think there will be interoperability between the bank. A lot of people say that crypto will put the bank out of business, but it's not, right? You're still going to have to use fiat. You're still going to exchange your crypto for money. You're still going to interact with the bank. The bank won't have full control anymore, but crypto will still interact, right? Some of the banks aren't going to make as much money on fees and they're not going to get you with savings, but there's still going to be interaction between the bank. I think that's just some of the FOMO or some of the FUD they're spreading, trying to get people to not trust crypto and not. I was watching that what is that? The Unbanked movie, and they were talking about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin's bad and how criminals use Bitcoin. So the girl was like, "Well, criminals use banks too, right? Criminals use cars, criminals use phones. You guys aren't trying to ban all that either." So I thought that was like hilarious. Like, I got to bring that to the show tonight. That is hilarious.
Yeah, that is freaking hilarious, bro. Yeah, so great points there. Yeah, like really good points there. And yeah, maybe the banks get less fees, but they're definitely going to be tied in here. And you know, like we showed a little bit yesterday, we showed a guy from Wells Fargo, like banking beyond banked is going to be part of this process. And this is where the banks and the whole entire system is going to get more liquidity by banking the unbanked. And, Monty Metzger talked about this, CEO of LCX. If you guys check out my video where I made, he quoted Bill Gates, which, despite however you guys feel about or may feel about Bill Gates, this is a good quote. Banking is needed, banks are not. And, I think everybody's well aware of how things are heading, especially in America where, we use our phones as our bank almost now. Like we log into mobile, we don't need to go to the teller now. We just do whatever we need to do on the mobile banking. We have our cards attached to our Apple Pay. We tap with our phones. Like, this is why the whole world mobile token thing was a great move for ZBEC, and I think is going to set ZBEC up very, very well for the future. Any comment on that, brother?
Yeah, you're right. I think that World Mobile is a huge move. A lot of people aren't really, or I'm not sure if they fully um, researched it and understand, especially you mentioned like banking the unbanked. That's a very big concept a lot of people are overlooking. I was talking to somebody else about it, and they were saying with crypto and with ability to go places that don't have banks. I'm trying to remember what they were talking about, but it was like, oh yeah. So this guy's talking about interoperability. Shout out to Quarter Crawler. What's going on, man? Um, he's talking about in certain countries, I can't tell you the country, they're setting up a interoperability system where they'll have a device that logs in whatever the country's crypto is, and you're able to exchange it instead of using the bank. So the country has a crypto token and it'll replace banking for that whole country. So there was like, what if they got the wrong token? So he was like, it doesn't matter because they can exchange the tokens for whatever they need it for. So per se, if they got, I don't know, SHIB or something, right? They could still exchange it for Bitcoin and then use the Bitcoin to buy whatever they need. So at this point, I think ZBEC could be very, very powerful in these other countries where they go crypto only. But that's another discussion. But There are countries that are looking to go crypto only. They don't even want to do anything with the banking system. They're going to do straight interoperability with crypto, with whatever their native token is, and exchange it for larger tokens so they can use, I guess, money or crypto versus fiat. But
Right.
still, they still have to exchange it, and that will probably be like the bank, right?
Right. And you guys, I could see that. And especially with America, guys, you just don't know how much power we have with our dollar, with our currency, and our currency kind of being the reserve currency of the world. Other cultures, Latinos, Arabs, the Chinese, they've kind of figured it out in that they will work over here, Jamaicans, they'll work over here and they'll send money back home and they can, or they'll work over here and then take that American money back home and really, really live like kings, right? So I think America kind of wants to reign or kind of figure out how that's happening. I'm sure they can track it in some ways, but in a lot of ways, with it being cash, it's a little bit harder to track than what it will be with this system, right? So it's interesting to think about. It's interesting to think about. But let's continue here.
And looking at transaction banking, which is front and center here at Sibos, there's one general trend that should give us all confidence: the ever-growing volume of payments and trade transactions. According to McKinsey, the revenue pool in transaction banking grew 7% annually from 2018 to 2023 and will continue to grow. A second piece of good news is that compared to other areas in finance, the speed of disintermediation is expected to be slower in transaction banking.
Okay, I want to pick up on the growth that he said, right? And I can't remember who said that. I think it was Coach Greg Adams. Shout out to Coach Greg Adams. He was going over kind of like the economy. And this is to his point where basically revenue pools have grown since 2018, 7% every year is what I heard him say. Think about back in the day when each family only had one car, right? Where it was like, okay, the daddy's going to work, the mama's at home, and there's only one car. And the teenagers, when they grow up, they might get their job and then they'll get their car. But most households now have 2 to 3 cars. Like, remember back in the day when one house had one TV or one computer? Now we got 5 TVs or 5 computer-like devices like an iPad or, an iWatch, your phone, which is a smartphone, which is basically a computer. You might have a couple laptops, like I said, a couple iPads or something like an iPad, right? Consumption has gone up majorly. Coffee shops on every corner, including Starbucks. All we do is more consuming and consuming and consuming. And think about even how more crazy that's going to be when you have ZBCN in the fray here, where you get paid instantly, 24/7 real-time payment. Think about what happens when it's like, okay, well, cross-border payments is just as easy as sending, over an everything app like a Facebook or a Twitter or a something like that, Telegram. Think about when remittance payments are that easy, and that's what ZBCN is trying to do with payment. So it's like, okay, well, you can just pay your person. It doesn't matter where they're at. It doesn't matter what currency. We're cross asset. We're using the XRP ledger. It's cross asset. Doesn't matter. Like, let's reduce the fees. Let's have it kind of instant transfer to whatever stablecoin we want. Like, this is where we're heading. And what I think it's going to do is it's going to it's going to like massively charge even more crazy consumption. Any comments tonight, brother?
Oh, yeah, I was muted. Yeah, you're right. And with technology speeding up, right? I think ZBIC is right on time because there is a shift happening, right? With things getting faster and transactions happening. When they start streaming payroll, I think it's going to cut a lot of like lenders and loans and a lot of finance um, predatory lending out, right? Because you won't need to was that paycheck advance and all that other stuff. You won't need it anymore. So I think as that happens, the billing structure is going to change. So with crypto, the entire, I guess, social economic system is going to get updated, right? There's a lot of changes coming and people might not be ready for it, right? There's a lot of new things that are going to happen, a lot of new businesses start. It's kind of like when the internet first happened, right? The internet started coming, then there were websites, and then there were emails, and then there were messaging. I think that's going to be the same thing with crypto, and I think ZBIC is probably going to be something like a messenger, right? When people first got what was that? NetSend. You remember that? People used to send messages through the network, and you'd be like, "Where'd that come from? What's he talking about?" You know, people were freaking out, and then they
Yeah,
started to figure out a way to harness the NetSend and Instant Messenger and DM and all that stuff, right? So I
yeah,
think ZBIC is the product, and I think it's going to be a whole bunch of consumers, right? People are going to find ways to consume the streaming payroll that a lot of people aren't even thinking about. Because I keep telling, like we keep telling you, we're early to the party, guys.
yep.
90% don't even know what crypto is, right? So think about once they do understand. I talk to people all the time that don't even understand what Bitcoin is, much less how it works. They don't even know what it is, right? So think about, you know what crypto is, you know what Bitcoin is, and we're on to the next phase, right? The next part, which would be the streaming. And I tell people all the time, and most of the time I tell people about ZBook, they look at me like I'm talking Greek. Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean streaming? What do you mean streaming checks? What are you talking about? So just be patient, guys. And
And to
DZA, South
and
Financial Advice,
to
well,
and
we
to ex-
are ahead of the party, guys.
yeah, to expound on that point, like really think about how ahead we are, guys. And BTM mentions patience, right? Guys, like I went over that whole thing about the American dream, right? Being $5 million. Understand that includes 1.6 million retirement. How many people are even thinking about retirement? And things just keep inflating and inflating and inflating. Like, okay, think about all of these crypto platforms that are offering lending, right? And how necessary that's going to be for most people, not us crypto investors, but for most people. So you being early in these things that are going to be assets. Remember the Wells Fargo guy from SIBOS said they're largely assets, okay? The non-stablecoin cryptos. Think about how far ahead of the game you're going to be in 2030 when all of this infrastructure is really kicked in and what these prices are going to look like then, right? So excellent points there, brother. I agree wholeheartedly. So let me see here. One comment I saw in the chat that I want to get to. Somebody said, I think it's Pinot Q, that they're more high on XPR than they are on even ZBCN. Both of those things I am very, very high on. Like every time I get more high on the other than the other, like somebody else comes out with another announcement. So when you think about the things that ZBCN can do with payroll and the fact that they can kind of instantly connect any asset, there's no other There's no other crypto that can touch that. When you think about the things that Metallicus is doing, and that they're basically like almost like the connector of community banks, and that they're going to connect every credit union, and they already have this growing lending platform of the world's most important, regulated, compliant cryptos in Ripple, Stellar, Hedera, etc. I'm so high on both of them. I really cannot choose, to be honest with you. So for me, yes, I'm very high on both of those platforms, and leadership from both of the teams follow me, which is very gracious of them. I really feel very honored and humbled for that. But yeah, I'm definitely high on both of them. But let's go back here just a second here, because he mentioned something about disintermediation. I'm not sure what he's saying with that, so I want to hear it just a little bit again.
Pool in transaction banking grew 7% annually from 2018 to 2023 and will continue to grow. A second piece of good news is that compared to other areas in finance, the speed of disintermediation is expected to be slower in transaction banking. And this is due to...
Okay, I think he's saying that, I don't know, let me see what he's going to finish with.
Operational and regulatory complexity, infrastructure requirements, and the importance of a strong and global network. That, however, does not mean the pressure to change is any less intense. There are still numerous factors that are going to reshape the face of transaction banking. My personal top 10, not in a particular order, are the following. Number one.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on that disintermediation part. I don't know exactly what that means. Let me just look that up right quick. That's a weird word. We don't use that in English often. There's probably an easier English word for that. If you want to add something, brother, while I look this up, because I'm not sure what that. Okay, let's see.
I'm just trying to figure out what he was saying as well. Other
The
than
removal. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The removal of intermediaries from a supply chain or transaction. Okay, got it. Okay. That sounded like what he was saying, but in my head, I couldn't rationalize that. So he's saying removing all the middlemen between transactions, and this is what XRP basically said it was going to do. And if you guys can remember from a long time ago, when I shared a Sam Tapalia interview with you guys, let me pull that up right quick. Like literally the interviewer in his description said that this was what ZBEC would do. ZBEC would do. So let me pull that up right quick, because it's a very, very important point. Okay, here it is. I'm going to share this tab. So this is Sam Tapalia Paradigm Podcast 39. Says ZBCN is a startup that aims to change the way that money is transferred. The company wishes to improve processes for paying personnel, managing subscriptions, and vesting tokens. The ZBCN protocol's long-term goal is to facilitate huge direct financial transactions between sender and receiver. So this includes the removal of all third-party individuals. That's it right there, right? The company's main goal is to create a system which workers get their payments instantaneously, right? So that's what he just said is what ZBCN's purpose is. And remember, ZBCN is partnered with Deutsche Bank, doing this all Unity token. Okay, so that's it right there in a nutshell. Okay, anything to add there, brother?
No, I
You
don't have
muted.
anything.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me. Okay. We'll go and continue here. Whoops. I'm
Number one,
sorry. I wasn't on the tab.
real-time
I wasn't on the
everything.
tab. Okay.
Whether
Let me.
payments or liquidity management, client long and global network.
Sorry. Let me go back. Sorry about that. Here we go. I just moved back a second so he can talk about the top 10 things that are going to affect finance. So that's where we're picking up.
That, however, does not mean the pressure to change is any less intense. There are still numerous factors that are going to reshape the face of transaction banking. My personal top 10, not in a particular order, are the following. Number one, real-time everything. Whether payments or liquidity management, clients expect 24/7 availability and instant execution across entities, regions, and currencies.
Again, that's exactly what we just pointed out with ZBCN. That's exactly what he meant by disintermediate. Y'all know. I'm gonna have to look at disintermediation. Okay, that's exactly what he meant by that. I feel like Donald Trump. Like I'm trying to like see the benefit. Oh my goodness. So yeah, this is exactly what ZBCN is supposed to do and is going to do and is already doing. So let's continue, and things like XRP as well, right?
Transaction banking. My personal top 10, not in a particular order, are the following. Number one, real-time everything. Whether payments or liquidity management, clients expect 24/7 availability and instant execution across entities, regions, and currencies. Two, ISO 20022 migration. New messaging standards will reshape data usage and sharing, enabling automation, efficiency, and interoperability. Three, digitalization and automation of trade finance, meaning the full phase out of paper and the rise of digital identities and what we call smart contracts. Four.
So right there, trade finance, that's XDC. ISO is all the ISO coins, right? So we can kind of already understand, right, that this is an XRP thing. Like, if you guys are stuck on the Linea thing might be just for, Ethereum and that JP Morgan branch, but understand XRP is going to connect all of this, right? Anything to add there, brother?
Yeah, it's weird that XRP and ZBEC are in the top two, or the first two, right? The instant payment and the cross-border payments. And he mentioned that they'll be able to do the interoperability. So it's kind of like they're still connecting the dots without telling you they're connecting the dots. So it's going to be interesting. I was expecting something. I think there might be some big announcement soon, right?
Yep. And hopefully we hear something about what's going on with the tomorrow with the sports betting, because that's the first day any one of those teams is playing a real regular season game. So we shall see. And great comment here. Keep in mind, not all coins will make it for sure. SHX does ACH payments the same as direct from employees. Also, XLM can do payroll also. Well, you got to understand that all of these are interconnected. and all are going to have their own purpose. SHX, definitely for ACH. Underneath all these ACH payments may be SHX. And as far as connecting Stellar to XRP, maybe SHX. And also understand that Stellar is a partner of ZBCN, and they partnered together with this USDY token that they have with Ondo. Like, so all of this plumbing, all of these are connected. So Stronghold will definitely have its place. XLM will have its place. Maybe I'll do something here to kind of make that more clear for everybody somehow. But yeah, let's continue here.
APIs and open banking in B2B, enabling real-time integration between corporate systems and banks. 5, cross-border payments reinvention.
Wow, there's just so much. Hold on, sorry. So APIs, remember, understand that with ISO 20002 messaging, there's APIs that can be sent in that message. So I know he chose to separate them, but APIs are sent as a part of that message. Okay, I might just let him say all 10, and then we'll try to go over all 10. But we'll pick up at 3 and just let him say them all, and then we'll try to come back, because it's hard to just. So we'll try to let him say all 10, and then we'll come back.
Finance, meaning the full phase out of paper and the rise of digital identities and what we call smart contracts. 4, APIs and open banking in B2B, enabling real-time integration between corporate systems and banks. 5, cross-border payments reinvention, still seen as slow, expensive, and opaque, but actually evolving rapidly. 6, cybersecurity, compliance, and resilience, an evergreen topic, but potentially most important than ever before, and gaining this importance due to the geopolitical situation we see every day in the paper, and also as fraud becomes even more sophisticated. Banks must step up investments, especially in AI-driven solutions. 7, AI and advanced analytics. Use cases include cash flow forecasting, smart reconciliation, client behavior analysis, and more. 8, sustainable transaction banking. ESG is moving into cash and trade. Think about sustainability-linked supply chain finance, green trade finance, or carbon footprint tracking in payment flows. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not just about regulatory pressure. Green finance offers major business opportunities, in particular for us in Europe, and smart banks are investing in it. Our clients expect nothing less. 9, digital assets. Whether we talk...
Okay, yeah, so it's way too hard for me to keep all of those in my head. So let's pause right here. ESG. This is something that is definitely important. Shout out to the patrons. You have a list of things that could go on, that could cover ESG. He had mentioned cross-border payments. All right, guys, I'm going to have to go back to 4 because it's hard for me to keep them in my head. That's why I want to do 2 at a time. And I know you guys might want to hear them all together. But if you want to just hear this uninterrupted, you'll have to go over to SIBOS. But for our viewing experience and for me and my memory that I can only hold 2 in my head at a time, I'm going to go back and then play those. And we'll take it from there. So where was that? 47. Right here.
No, definitely, because he has a lot going on there. It's a lot in those points.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Oh, wait, no. Okay, there we go.
Finance, meaning the full phase out of paper and the rise of digital identities and what we call smart contracts. 4, APIs and open banking in B2B, enabling real-time integration between corporate systems and banks. 5, cross-border payments reinvention, still seen as slow, expensive, and opaque, but actually evolving rapidly. 6, cybersecurity, compliance, and resilience. An evergreen topic, but potentially most important than ever before. And gaining this importance due to the geopolitical situation we see every day in the paper, and also as fraud becomes even more sophisticated. Banks must step up investments, especially in AI-driven solutions. 7.
Okay, so if we look at cross-border payments, again, shout out to Jesse from Apex Crypto Consulting. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to Rob Crypto Future and Maximus Crypto. We have every Thursday a show that we do exclusively for the patrons. And one of the things that came up from that show, again, subscribe to the Patreon if you want to see the show, is about XRP being cross-border, but cross-border being cross-asset, right? And this is definitely something that ZBCN helps with, right? It's a very, very important point. And one of the things that Simon Babakani, the CEO of ZBCN, has been pounding home is compliance, right? And I think compliance is even a bigger thing than cybersecurity, because I think, of course, they're going to keep things cyber secure. I don't think too many even hackers have the ability to hack these like banks. They're super safe, but compliance is going to make it so that ZBCN stands on its own, because the things that you have to go through to be compliant in the manner that ZBCN is compliant is going to make it so there's really no competition, right? Any comments on that, brother?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. ZBCN is ahead of the curve with compliance. And as these compliances are starting to get regulated and the regulation comes down, a lot of this crypto is going to get pushed out, right? A lot of stuff is going to get canceled. I think somebody said that in the comments. There's a lot of stuff that tries to compete, but it won't, right? It's not going to be able to because it won't be compliant. So a whole lot of stuff is going to get swept out of the way, and you're going to get left with the major players in the stable coins. And it is good that ZBCN is already working on the compliance. So I'm just going to tell you straight up. I think ZBCN is one of the inside players, right? They're already working with the major players in the game, and someone is advising them, go ahead and get compliant, right? Go ahead and start working on it, because when the compliance comes down, it's going to be like a wall, and we're shutting down everybody that's not compliant, right? Which makes sense, right? As they're setting all these rules and laws and regulation up, they're going to drop it on everybody. And the ones that are not working towards and not setting up for the future are going to get shut down, right? It's pretty much how they do all business. If you're on the inside track, right, you're going to know what's coming, versus a lot of people are willy-nilly and just barely getting by. And at some point, the curtain comes down, right? And everybody that's behind the curtain is going to get shut out. And it's just going to be the major players that, oh yeah, we're going to push forward and we're taking over.
Yeah, compliance is a double-edged sword in that you want to set some boundaries and bars so that a business can handle being in a certain arena, right? But at the same time, it could be viewed as gatekeeping. But in this sense, both are very great for a company like ZBCN, because that means there's not going to be any competition, right? Because they are not going to have the money, the knowledge, the time, and the connections to get all of these compliances. So, and the same can be said of what's already happening with Metallicus as well. Somebody mentioned XPR. This sets them way ahead of any competition. They've already been 3 or 4 years deep into this now, and having the help of the likes of Tim Draper, who's invested in Coinbase Ventures. I really do think there's some connection there. We already know that the crypto czar. I've showed you that. Shout out to Creative Control. I've shown you how the crypto czar is invested in ZBEC. Yes, the crypto czar is invested in ZBEC through the Craft Ventures, his company there. So all of this bodes really well for ZBEC, and they've told you they compliance first, compliance first, compliance first. And also he mentioned digital identity. They're embedding digital identity into their platform. So really that's going to give them a leg up in that if you're going to want to do a loan, you're going to need to have your digital ID. You will not be able to get a loan. This is where I think we're heading. You will not be able to get a loan unless you have your digital ID set up somehow. So that means you got to be KYC'd, you got to be, know your own customer. You won't be able to get a loan unless you have that. So again, another thing that's setting ZBEC apart from others is that they have this DID embedded into their system through gate knocks. So again, very, very great stuff for ZBEC. Very, very great stuff for Metallicus. They also have that embedded into their web auth wallet. You have to be kind of KYC there, or otherwise you can't operate the web auth wallet. So let's continue here.
AI and advanced analytics. Use cases include cash flow forecasting, smart reconciliation, client behavior analysis, and more. 8.
AI. Now, the thing about AI is this, right? I caution people to I think people need to think of AI as not a all-solving solution, but think of it more as like this advanced database that might have some answers. And in order this advanced database to work, there needs to be a lot of computing power. So edge computing. Edge computing is going to be very important in AI time. Shout out to the patrons. We are already looking at some cryptos with edge computing. You guys in the Patreon, you already have one. So shout out to the Patreon. If you guys want to look at the Patreon, I definitely suggest that you do. Let me run the little banner here. Definitely check out the Patreon where we go over futures trading. We go over countless number of things. We have an exclusive with Crypto Future, Max and Jesse. We have open mic nights that we do every Friday. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. So yeah, anything to add there, brother?
Yeah, no. I think you did mention it. I might check out the Patreon because definitely interested in the future trading. But for the AI, you're right. A lot of people are using AI to get all the answers, and basically, mostly it's just pulling information grouped together from the internet. So it's no magic box, right? It's just pulling. It's pretty much just doing the same search. It's just doing it faster. So you could get the same information. You just have to probably search a lot longer. So a lot of people, there's things about AI will make people less smart, right? Because they're not going to do the research. They're going to go pull AI. People have AI writing emails, letters. So the work that it does is less work that you're doing. So you'll start to get kind of lazy because you're not doing a lot of the work. So just be wary of that. But I am kind of interested in what it's going to find with banking, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that's happening or happens with banking and transactions that the AI will catch. Like, what are you guys doing with this? Or What are these transactions for? So a lot of stuff is going to start popping up in audits, and people with regulatory authorities are like, what is this, right? What's going on? So I think it's going to help clean up a lot of banking and institutional transaction and institutional waste and I guess transactional problems, which, you know, a lot of stuff happens, duplicate transactions, and a lot of weird stuff that's happening from the computer, glitches, disconnections, reconnections, issues with the API that I think that the AI will catch, we can fix. So I think it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
Yeah. So yeah, just like BTM was saying there, AI is only as good as the amount of information that AI can hold. So essentially, it's a smart database, if you will. So what's going to need to happen in the future, if you want that AI to hold more information, you're going to need more computing power. This is where edge computing comes in, because all of these computers are going to we're going to get to a point where if everybody wants their own AI, you're going to need more and more space, more and more computing power. And this is where edge computing comes in. Shout out to the patrons. You already know in edge computing crypto that we're looking at. So let's go ahead and continue here.
Sustainable transaction banking. ESG is moving into cash and trade. Think about sustainability-linked supply chain finance, green trade finance, or carbon footprint tracking in payment flows. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not just about regulatory pressure. Green finance offers major business opportunities, in particular for us in Europe, and smart banks are investing in it. Our clients expect nothing less. 9, digital assets.
Okay, so ESG. Now, ESG is a serious topic, like regardless of what you think about climate change, okay? Because I had to get over this, guys. Regardless of what I think about climate change, if it is or if it isn't, there, people, there are people that argue about both sides. But one of the things I can tell you is companies like Tesla are making billions, right, with a B, on ESG right now with carbon credits that they sell, that they get, right? Another company I have with the patrons, it's a stock company, it's an energy company that has a stock on the stock market. They're making billions from ESG and carbon credits right now. So regardless of whether it's happening or not happening, companies are making money with ESG right now. So there's a market for ESG, right? So having these carbon credits, it's a whole separate market, like sports betting, if you will. Like you got all these different sports bets, all these different derivatives on sports bets. Same goes with ESG and carbon credits, where there's going to be a whole market on carbon credits, and if you're carbon neutral or not carbon neutral, there's going to be a whole freaking separate market that is going to be created for this. And right now, Tesla is making billions on it. Okay, so do not sleep on ESG. If you're a person like me that's like kind of like, I don't really understand if this is true or if it's not. The thing to understand there is that people are making money with it. So as an investor, we can also make money with it. That's the only thing really for me that to really understand there. Any points to add there, brother?
Yeah, you're right. But even outside of crypto, like people are making money with carbon credits for like building more environmental or green friendly buildings, and buildings that recycle water or energy or solar power. There's a lot of credits, right? There's a big business in ESG. So you're right there. This is another I guess sector of business that's rolling into crypto. So it's definitely going to be very profitable. And big companies like Tesla, I think One of the chemical companies, I think they're spending a fortune trying to reverse a lot of their carbon credits. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a profitable industry.
Yeah, there we go. So there it is. BTM knows what's up there. Yeah, so this is going to be a profitable industry, guys, like it or not. And like us as the investors, we definitely want to research this so we can make money off of it, right? If it's something that they're feeling the need to mention as one of the top 10 things at SIBOS Frankfurt, this is something that we want to pay attention to as investors and see how we can capitalize and take advantage, right? Regardless of any type of personal views we have, right? So shout out to Super Chat here, first of the night from Andre Maitland. What's up, guys? Good night. Good night. What is going on? Thank you. Appreciate the Super Chat. And let's continue on here. Shout out to Shook Focus Digital. Shook knows what's going on with ESG. Shook knows what's going on with ESG. Shout out to Shook in the house here. Shout out to Digital Nomad Investor. Shout out to Crypto Crossroads Show in the house too. Let's go. What's up, Pharmacopoeia in the house? I think I got you there, Pharmacopoeia. What's up? What's up, TK? What's up, Delta Go Zero in the house? What's up, Crypto Bush? What's up, Sivu? What's up? I'm gonna say Orish Shang O and Zeus Fox Knight. Woo. Almost said that wrong. Zeus Fox Knight, what's up? What's up, Tony S? What's up, Wilhelm? Definitely check out our brother Underdog Research on info for Plume. I had a tremendous respect for Underdog Research channel. Definitely check out our brother, and we'll show you if you guys want to find his channel how you can do that. Shout out to our brother Underdog Research channel. Which we'll have to get him on the show again. He's killing it over there with the research on Plume and ZK proofs and stuff. Shout out to Salamander here, and let's continue on here.
Whether we talk about tokenized deposits, stablecoins, or CDBDs, which have been just covered in the conversation, beyond the hype, there is a truly exciting field that we will see a lot of movement in the coming years, and one that could very well reshape the payment landscape and the global currency regime significantly.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what he said. Did he say tokenization? Was that what he said? Okay, let me go back.
Investing in it. Our clients expect nothing less. 9, digital assets. Whether we talk about tokenized deposits, stablecoins, or CDBDs, which have been just covered in the conversation, beyond the hype, there is a truly exciting field that we will see a lot of movement in the coming years, and one that could very well reshape the payment landscape and the global currency regime significantly. The transformation is already underway, both in terms of market dynamics and regulatory processes. Tokenization of real-world assets is expected to grow to around $19 trillion by 2033, driven by funds.
For my guys in the crowd that love numbers, 19 trillion by 2033. Huh? Is that a coincidence? I don't know. But if you know, you know. Let's continue.
Real estate and stablecoins. At the same time, the past 18 months have marked a turning point. Regulators around the world are moving from uncertainty to clarity, creating a more trusted and scalable environment for innovation. For banks, this opens up new opportunities to play a key role in shaping the infrastructure and trust layer of the digital asset economy. And let me add at this point, we banks in Europe are in principle open for the concept of a digital euro. But we strongly recommend to build that in close cooperation with the financial institutions, and let's use existing platforms. Let's not use different platforms. The client will not like it. Number 10.
Mentioning that the digital euro or the digital pound, I know the pound is different from the euro, but we do have here the digital pound. You know, it's not the euro, but we have, remember, Quant, which we're going to talk about this weekend, and also Ripple as far as the digital pound is concerned, and Circle and Accenture. Ripple partner Accenture, I think also Hedera partner Accenture. So again, when we look at this, we kind of realize this is really a multi-chain future. Avalanche here, Electronium, Fireblocks, who always comes up, and Quant and Ripple. Okay, now as far as the euro goes, we know that Circle has their own digital euro. If I come over here to that, whoops. So here we go. Circle. I'm not sure what just happened there. There we go. So you see they have their own digital euro. There, they don't talk about it much, but they do have their own digital euro. So when we saw Circle there with the digital pound, it's interesting to see them also over here with a digital euro. You know, again, we know ZBCN is very close with Circle. We know they're also close here with Deutsche Bank. Again, all these companies are interconnecting. They're close with Ripple as well. They share an investor with Ripple. All of this leads to me a multi-chain future. Any additions there, brother?
Yeah, I think you're right with the interoperability. Plus, all of the coins seem to be going after the same stable coin and the same piece together. So with stable coins and everyone's going after the euro and the European tokens, plus the what is that? The compliance and the certifications. It seems like everything is going to mesh together at the same time, kind of creating a perfect storm for crypto to push forward in the global economy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So yeah. So again, guys, really understand that it's going to be a multi-chain future. Don't be don't be misled, in my opinion, by this announcement of Swift with Linea. That's only one piece of the program. That might be the Ethereum piece of the program, but that doesn't even factor in the XRP piece of the program. That doesn't even factor in Quant. That doesn't even factor in XDC. That leaves out so many parts of the program. And this CEO here of Deutsche Bank, he's already mentioned trade finance. He's already mentioned ESG. He's already mentioned these things that that one Swift announcement doesn't even, it doesn't even take into account, right? So I think we'd be missing the point here if we're thinking that Linea is going to be for everything. We would be totally missing the point in my mind if we think that Linea is for everything. And if someone has anything that refutes that, please give me that information. I would love to see it. But based off of everything I've seen, off of all the people I trust and I've seen to share information, it seems like XRP is that winner to me. And Linea is just going to be the one piece of that for Ethereum, right? But let's continue on and listen here to Mr. Sewing. As my mouse tries to run away from me here.
Last and certainly not least, client centricity and customization. Clients demand tailored solutions, not one-size-fits-all products. Our task is to create modular, configurable platforms that make exactly this possible. On all these topics, you will find more than enough information over the next few days here at the conference. My key point is this: we cannot afford to fail on any of these issues. Our continued relevance as banks depends on our position in the payment ecosystem. But even more important than our own success is our responsibility for the lasting success of our clients and the development of the broader economy. And in this regard, let's be clear, transaction banking is not boring. Transaction banking is not a backstage function, but it is the engine of global commerce, the enabler of real-time, secure, and sustainable value exchange. From SMEs navigating cross-border trade to corporates optimizing treasury through APIs, we are shaping the infrastructure of the global economy. And in doing so, we contribute to growth and prosperity. And that is precisely why we must not relent on our pursuit of even better offerings for our clients.
I want to point out, he said a global economy. So again, rid yourself of thinking that these are going to be silos, that everything is not going to interoperate. This is going to be global.
Ladies and gentlemen, in my view, transaction banking is at the heart of each and every economy, and that's what you are doing all day through. As we drive innovation and shape the infrastructure of the global economy, one element remains foundational and fundamental to our mission, and that is trust. I recently had the pleasure.
And remember, different things have been called Internet of Trust, Internet of Value. They keep harping on trust and value. So the wording that they use is consistent. Anything to add there, brother?
I think you're right. I was just gonna follow back what you're saying too about the global economy, right? You keep hearing global, and interconnectivity and connections. And as the crypto, somebody was saying, I was talking to somebody, and we're talking about Bitcoin, and he was like, "What happens if Bitcoin stops?" I was like, "Bro, Bitcoin's too big, right? It's too big to fail at this point." And since it is where it is, it's global, right? You can get Bitcoin
Yeah.
anywhere. So these guys were precious metals, right? And like you can't take a bar of gold, right? You can't take it everywhere and shave off a piece here and a piece there, but you can take Bitcoin wherever you want to go and interact. I think I was watching that on that I think that's Unchained or Unbanked or something, and the guy was like, "Yeah, when people move, if they have Bitcoin, they can exchange it for whatever the local stablecoin is." And I
Yep.
think that's the next step, right? Each area, town, country, city will have a stablecoin. So you could use whatever crypto you have and exchange it for the local stablecoin, right? So I think that's going to factor in. And that's why the trust would be a big thing, right? You have to rely on the system. And if you don't trust it, people are not going to buy in. And with the ledger, it's not like you can erase or hack or change it, right? It's on the ledger. All you got to do is look at it. And the banking system is built on ledgers. So the crypto blockchain is one big bank, if you think about it, right? It's a ledger. All you got to do is go back and check the ledger. So I think it's going to get very interesting as people start to understand and the adoption comes, right? Because again, we're way ahead of the curve, right? And once people start to understand how it works and what it's actually doing, you're going to be like the forefront of the internet, right? People are like, oh yeah, let's get in the internet. Let's figure out how to get online versus we're already setting up websites and social media and actual, I guess, pictures and downloading, right? Versus some people aren't even on the blockchain yet. So I think it's going to get really interesting really fast.
Yeah, and you think about the internet of value, the internet of trust, which a lot of these quant has been, I think, shout out to Maximus Crypto and others, it's been described as the internet of value, I believe, and XRP, the internet of trust, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but either or, you can now imagine that XRP has the trust and the consensus, and then Quant can, shift around the value via its APIs and everything that connects to the overledger. Then we have, you can tokenize and send anything. You can send anything of value. Carbon credits, future hours you work, your deed to your house, so real estate, anything, any value can be transmitted instantly across border, across asset, wherever you need, 24/7. Access to liquidity is always there. This supercharges business, and that business does not need to wait until the New York Stock Exchange is open. Liquidity is always there at every time of the day. This supercharges, the individual person, because now my 401k is instantly available to me on my wallet, which is my phone. My deed to my house and the value of my house is instantly available to me. You know what I mean? So as much as it is very, very easy and can be very, very efficient, it can also be a tad bit scary too if you're not responsible, right? And you have the deed to your house instantly available on your phone, and you can now gamble it away or something like that, right? So again, there's going to need to be some. You definitely will need to be responsible there, but the ease of how easy it will be to consume at that point, man alive, that it's going to be very, very easy to consume and buy things and to make purchases instantly because of this, right? And this is what I think is very lucrative and great to the banks, is that business will be always moving. People will be always consuming, right? And when we see how inflation is hitting right now, it's definitely needed to have this charge in the market so that there's more liquidity into the market. So it's going to be very important to bank the unbanked. It's going to be very important to make it so that people have, as soon as they work, they can get paid and consume. Because most people are if inflation keeps heading the way we see it heading, I want to work and get paid now so I can purchase stuff now, because I can't wait 2 weeks. I need to purchase things right now, right? And that's where we're headed. So let's continue here.
Pleasure of welcoming Jim Hagemann-Snaby, Chairman of the Supervisory Board of Siemens, former co-CEO of SAP, to a live conversation with our employees globally. And it was a fantastic discussion. But there was one item which I found just remarkable from this talk. I asked Jim, which institutions do you trust most? And his answer, family, good friends, and banks.
Not bad, guy. Not bad. Not bad. You landed it. But this is a good point. Who are you going to trust more? Yep, family, friends, and you would like to say your bank, right? You trust that, like, okay, if I need my money, I can go to my bank and get it out. That's a good point. So, you know, great point by him there.
Your finances to someone you trust, he added. This trust, ladies and gentlemen, is not a given. It's earned day in, day out, through every decision we make. It is nothing else than the foundation upon which all progress will build. And it is the role of leading institutions like Deutsche Bank to lead with trust. In a world of increasing volatility, of increasing complexity, cyber threats, and various other items, banks must remain the most secure and compliant part in the financial value chain. It is not enough to deliver cutting-edge solutions or seamless connectivity. We must also ensure that every interaction, every transaction, every partnership is anchored in reliability, security, and most important, integrity. Security must never be confused with resistance to change, though. True resilience embraces nothing else than transformation, and each of us has a responsibility to think beyond borders. Our clients don't see the world in silos, and neither should we. At Deutsche Bank, a global mindset has not only been part of more than 150 years of history, it is nothing else than our compass for the future, firmly anchored in our global house bank strategy. And we also know that the future of banking and banking transactions will not be shaped in isolation. It will be shaped by collaboration, shared ambition, and the courage to challenge the status quo, but always in a constructive way. And that's why gatherings like SIBOS matter so much. This is where the industry comes together to set the agenda for the future of banking transactions. It's where ideas become action. It's where innovation meets scale, and where trust is translated into partnership. So let's use this week in Frankfurt not only to share insights, but to forge the partnerships that will define the next decade of global banking. Let's build together, let's create the future, and please together, thank you very much.
So I just let him roll. My guy was cooking right there. He was cooking. To not use the slang, he had a very nice momentum in his closing argument there, and that like he almost had the whole Red Auerbach of bank speeches, in that hey, trust is very important to us. Understand that we want you guys to be very secure, but security does not mean that we're not going to not change. We're going to look for every opportunity we can to make sure that you have the most secure, most cross-border thing. We're not just a silo. We can't be a silo for everything to work. This is a global thing. Let's cooperate for a future that's better. Like, bro knocked it out of the park with the end part of his speech there. And, in a certain sense, though, if we think about what crypto was created for, we can't necessarily say that we know what crypto was created for. If the NSA, David Schwartz, and they created it for a certain reason, but what crypto could be used for is that you're your own bank and you don't need the banks. So in essence, it is very important for the banks to have your trust, to foster a situation in which they have your trust, because with these tools, you could actually just say, no, I don't need you, or I really don't need to work with you at all. So that I'm sure they're keenly aware of that. which is why they're saying things that would garner and would give you trust in them. So hopefully they follow through with what they're saying, and have a world in which cryptocurrency, banks, fintechs, financial institutions, whatever kind of synonym you want to use for someone who can who's licensed to trade money, can coexist. Including the guy who's like, I want to be private with all my transactions. I'm not doing anything illegal, but it's just my right as a customer. It's my right as an American to have all my transactions be private. It's, as long as I'm not hurting anyone or doing anything illegal, this is my right as an American. Hopefully that person can coexist right along with the banks, the fintechs, and, anyone who is working with the bank. Hopefully that the whole gamut for all of those guys exist together. Any thing to add there, brother?
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. He did lay that down perfectly towards the end. He hit the security side, he hit the trust side. I think that was definitely one of the best speeches for crypto and advancing crypto. I'm gonna have to chop that up and make some shorts or some videos or something. But yeah, I mean, from what he broke down, he's right, right? Once you trust the system, right, you can do what you want to. And I think that's going to be one of the things for banking the unbanked. And then you could literally make your own bank, right? Once you have enough, I guess, crypto, right, you can take loans against your crypto. So you really don't have to spend it, and you don't have to interact with a third party bank, right? You could do pretty much everything you need to do. As long as you're not doing nothing too crazy, but you could pretty much finance everything you want to finance. Just pull it out of your crypto and spend it. And as you were talking earlier, I think with the speed of transactions, it's kind of scary, but it's also kind of good because you could do whatever you want to do, right? You don't have to wait for 3 to 5 days for a transfer to go overseas per se. As people move around more, you could go somewhere and buy property, start buying a house, live there for a while, and then come back, right? You don't have to be like, oh, I got to wait for the transfer to come. It's going to take me 3 to 4 weeks. I got to get the passport. I got to go back to them, show them the passport, get the information, get the deed transferred. Like, nah, I just transfer it in crypto. Go ahead and put on a blockchain. It's mine. We'll be back in 3 weeks with some more stuff. We're going to stay here for a month, and then we're going to go back home. So it's going to interconnect a lot of stuff, right? It's going to be a lot of asset movement and a lot of interconnectivity, which is going to be good globally, right? A lot of places that maybe might be isolated or not easily accessible, right? Like somebody was talking about contractors that are working in remote places, right? They don't have to go back to get the check and then come back to work. They can keep working. And that is going to push a whole new, I don't want to say spectrum, but a whole new division of society, right? You don't got to keep going back home to get the check cashed and get the money, buy some clothes, and come back. You can get it electronically transferred to you and then ship the stuff. You don't have to go anywhere. So production is going to increase exponentially, right? So that's just something I was thinking about. But proceed, sir.
No, that's great. That's great. So it's like this with tools, right? Tools can definitely be double-edged, right? If you have a sword, it's possible you can cut yourself with it, right? If you have a gun, if you misload it or whatever, you can hurt yourself with it. This tool, the internet that they've given us, as much as you can find information on the internet, you can find misinformation on the internet. But you can, if you really, really try really hard, you can find information that once you could never find unless you knew a guy, right? and it's up to you to discern if that information is good or not. So I say that to say this about cryptocurrency. These people are keenly aware that with cryptocurrency, we have a double-edged sword. We have it in our hands that we could just not use the banks and completely exclude them from what we're doing. Okay. And I do think that there are forces or people out there, like I honestly do believe Marshall Hayner and what he's doing with Metallicus, he really wants to kind of be the people's bank. I really strongly believe that, right? I really do believe that he wants to be the people's bank, right? So as much as we can, like, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for us here as crypto investors to take advantage of this, take advantage of where this, to be kind of first movers in this space, right? And recognize the different opportunities we have with things that are like the blue chips in their space. For instance, XDC with trade finance, it is a blue chip in its space. It is going to be a very, very important thing when it comes to trade finance. And with it sitting at, where is it, like 7 or 8 cents, we have a tremendous opportunity on our hands to lock it down now. Before it gets too far out of our hands, where it's like Nvidia, where it's $100 thing, or where it's like a Robinhood is, or what's a lesser stock, Uber or Lyft, where it's $50 to $70 a share or a coin, right? So again, we have a tremendous opportunity in our hands as crypto investors. And I think part of the reason we have this opportunity in our hands is that they need for these systems in some sense to be decentralized, right? So they kind of need it to be in our hands somewhat, but we the first movers are going to be the ones that really take advantage of this. And the key way you can take advantage is things like my Patreon. I give people a weekly or bi-weekly crypto watch list, a monthly stock watch list. That's one of the ways you can take advantage. Of course, we do a lot of stuff here, of course, for free, and that we're giving you the show and we're talking about this information, right? So, it's not all shilling, so to speak, around here, right? But, patience is the key. And just really understand the opportunity that we have in front of us. These opportunities in my mind only come around like once every 25 years. There's like the .com boom where the internet was just taking off. And if you had invested in companies like, Microsoft, companies like HP, companies like IBM, you would be a very, very wealthy person right now. This is the opportunity we have in front of us with cryptocurrency. Anything to add there, brother?
Yeah, I was trying to find my mouse. I agree with you 100%. And I just want people to understand we're giving them pure alpha. A story I want to bring up, in the original gold rush, right? When people first started doing gold mining, people would set up like saloons and bars. And the people in the saloon, after they served their drinks and after the miners came in, would sweep the floor and have gold, piles of gold, just from being around the miners. These guys got crazy rich just from being around the miners. We're giving you guys pure alpha. You guys can take it, research it, understand it, and invest. Not financial advice, but you can probably come up and make some pretty good fortunes or generational wealth. Like I tell people on my channel all the time, you are early, right? Some of this stuff isn't even regulated yet. Most of the people don't even understand what we're talking about. If you can understand and follow and get in now and start investing and whatever you want to. You don't have to invest what we're telling you, but whatever you find interesting, invest and hold. You never know what it's going to do in 5 to 10 years or 20 years. Like I was saying a few days ago, people are making money now that your great grandkids will probably be very fortunate with, right? Think about it not as pennies or was it hey pennies now, but as a lot of money down the line, right? It could be fractional pennies now, but 10 or 15 years, you don't know how much it'll be, right? And it's just a small investment. But just make sure you do your research and understand what you're investing in and be patient, guys. Just be everybody's talking about we wanted to get to $1 or $50. Be patient. It took Bitcoin, what, 10 years, 15 years to get to where it is? It's going to take time, but it's proven. It's going to work, right? We see it. You just got to be patient and find good investments. Not financial advice, but ZBCN is leaps and bounds ahead of most of the crypto market, right? They're doing the right thing. They're having the right conversations and they're in the right rooms. Just got to hang in there and be patient.
Yes, indeed. Now, one thing to keep in mind, guys, there may be a ZBCN pump coming up here tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow is the first night, I think, where the Golden Knights play. Okay? Again, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, if you want to take advantage of futures trading, you can do that with that link. Also, the link is in the description to BTCC. I just want to show you guys here. This is one of the things that we talk about in the Patreon. I cashed with a very small move in ZBCN. I cashed. I think I did $100 at 25x leverage, and I cashed that for $600. I just want to show you guys the proof of that, so you know. Hey, Blackrue, stop kidding. But I want to show you guys the proof of that so you can see it here. Of course, it's making me do like the 85 different things to log in. Let me do that right quick, so you guys can see the proof here. So if I share it right here, you can see here, leverage was 25x. I closed the long. I made $603 in that trade. Okay. So that's what one of the things you can do with knowing like small moves in the market. And if you want to know which kind of moves I'm making with small moves in the market, you can come over to the Patreon where we talk about BTCC. Got to love that, right? Of course, you want to be responsible with how you're doing your futures trading. I'm not taking any of my long-term moves to do this. I'm only, playing around with $100 here or there. You know what I mean? So, but this is something now I could choose to take part of this 600 and put it in some cryptos I believe in, or whatever, right? But if you know small moves in the market, this might be something you can take advantage of. So the reason I bring that up is, hey, if they give us something with the Vegas Golden Knights about sports betting tomorrow, the back will definitely go up. So definitely pay attention to that, and that's something I definitely tell the Patreon people all the time. And yeah, so a little free alpha there for you guys. But let's go over to ZBCN and look at the KOTAPay spaces now. Here, let me share it again. Share my screen. Boom, 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 boom. And we're there. All right, let me know if you guys can hear it. I'm going to play right now.
Hey, everyone. Simon, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Ben.
How's your week been and how are things?
We've been incredibly busy. We're gearing up for ZBCN. A lot of great announcements and product updates in the pipeline, which we're going to be rolling out over the next couple of weeks.
Mhm.
And of course, we're extremely excited today to be finally speaking with KOTAPay. Obviously, KOTAPay
Yes.
has been a longtime partner of ZBCN, as well as our payroll subsidiary, PayBridge. They were really a pioneer in the payroll processing business in the US. Stablecoin payroll is a concept that's existed for years with limited traction, to be honest, due to the lack of clear regulation around how banks and corporations can issue and transact with stablecoins. This, of course, all changed earlier this year with the passing of the Genius Act in the US, which effectively makes stablecoins, as you said, Ben, legal tender and issuable by certain US banks that back such tokens one-to-one with reserves. This is a huge leap forward for the crypto industry and has opened the floodgates for banks to enter the stablecoin arena and partner with infrastructure providers like ZBCN.
Perfect. Okay. In the meantime,
Infrastructure providers like ZBCN. So again, one of the things, shout out to Mr. Spader 007. I haven't seen him in the chat there, but one of the things bro always talks about in there, I love my viewers. You guys are so knowledgeable about ZBCN being a protocol. It's going to be kind of that part of that infrastructure that allows these stable coins, which Simon is telling us right now, to be moved cross-platform, cross-asset, cross-border, right? And Kodapay is part of this, right? And you can see here, kind of even with the announcement here. I know somebody had mentioned ACH earlier, but here we go. Kodapay is named top 50 ACH originator by Natcha Online, right? Natcha, we know Natcha partners with Stronghold. So again, here we got some crossover of cryptos that are kind of ISO and ISO 20022 adjacent. Natcha is definitely known by Stronghold, and they didn't put this in here by mistake. You know what I mean? Kodapay is working alongside ZBCN to modernize ACH and Swift connectivity to power ZBCN's real-time payroll. And remember from the show we had yesterday, ZBCN just told us payroll is only a foot in the door for what they plan to do. They also want to do remittances. They also want to do other things, including possibly sports betting, which we may hear about tomorrow. But let's continue.
what I would ask everyone here to do.
Sorry, brother, did you have any comments to add here?
I don't have anything. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Let me go back. Okay.
If you can hit the little speech bubble in the bottom right-hand corner of your phone and just head down to the bottom there and give this a like and a repost, maybe drop us a comment and say hello. That would be great.
So, Jim, I wondered if you could briefly introduce yourself and also your role at KOTAPay.
Absolutely. My name is Jim Haug. I am the managing director of KOTAPay, which is the payments division of First International Bank and Trust. As managing director, basically my main role is looking at a strategic standpoint, how we continue to grow, how we continue to manage our customers, how we continue to innovate, and what we're looking at for the future, what we're doing now that needs to be changed and updated. And to some extent, you can say, I stay out of my staff's way to make sure they're able to do their jobs.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. And for those who are unfamiliar, what is KOTAPay and how does it operate within the payments ecosystem?
Yeah, so KOTAPay, again, it's the payments division of First International Bank and Trust. And in essence, what that means is we move money for payroll service bureaus that are working with a variety of companies around the country. So we become the gateway for them. We allow them to connect to the network that allows the transaction to go from point A to point B and ultimately maybe to point C. So we're here to help facilitate the movement of those funds to pretty much do that whole entire direct deposit or payroll environment from end to end. And that includes not just doing the direct deposit for the employee, but it's going to help out those companies with their tax liabilities. They need to get those paid to jurisdictions. So we're out there we're helping to pull those funds, hold them, and push them to the right location. We're going to help them, the payroll processor, to bill their clients, right? They can send that file to us. They maybe.
So not just end to end, they're also helping with payroll processing. And I think he said something about taxes, but payroll processing. This is what the guy yesterday from All Unity was telling us about. Like, they might need help with payroll processing. Well, here's Kodapay. This is what they're going to do. They're going to help you with the payroll processing. They're going to help you end to end with the they're going to help you end to end with the stablecoin. So this is essentially what the guy yesterday was talking about with the house bank. They're like the house bank that's going to kind of help you with processing, going to help you end to end to get your services up to date and matching alongside with the stablecoin processing, along with what you already do with ACH. This would be the Kodapay in my mind. Anything to add there, brother?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
If Kodapay is an existing system that does HCA, right? They already have the framework. They already do the processing and the transactions. If ZBEC helps them in any way, it's going to be very profitable for ZBEC, right? If you are not really reinventing the wheel, but if you're making the process better, right? But banks and institutional or financial institutions are always looking for a better way to do it, right? And if ZBIC can help them anyway, make it faster, make it more efficient, make it smoother, because the HCA process is ancient, right? I worked in financial services and they've been sending ACH files since the whole time I've been in before I've been there. So if there's any change to this, it can revolutionize payroll payments and check processing, right? And if you are to update this process, it's going to catch on like wildfire. That's what the SIBOS convention is all about. Bring new technology to the masses, the financial institution works, and everybody gets a piece, right? Everybody finds a way to use it and it grows, right? It's a quick way to get adoption. So I think it's a good thing that ZBEC is working with Kodapay. And if they do, or when they do develop something that affects the industry, it's going to spread, right? Everybody's going to be like, oh, what's Kodapay doing? It's working. Let me get a piece, right? How can we get involved, right? How can it save us money? And from that, it's going to continue the adoption of a ZBEC or the ZBEC Kodapay partnership or the ZBEC XRP, however many companies are involved, right? They're all going to get a piece and it's going to spread like wildfire, right?
Yep. So this guy, they're the bridge. It seems like to me, and that was the point that I was missing with PayBridge. So they're the kind of bridge to the payroll. Now you add the Kodapay. They've been around forever. They're going to be the bridge that connects the traditional ACH to now the stable coin. And this is everything that Alex Hopner broke down for us, the CEO of All Unity Stablecoin yesterday. This is exactly the house bank or the house situation bank or whatever. This is the role that Kodapay is playing. They're bridging the gap for the old to the new. Okay. And let's continue.
You need to do a vendor payment. Maybe they need to do some kind of garnishment. You know, it could be a health reimbursement, right? So there's just a variety of electronic payments that go through the whole process that are open to companies that are offering payroll services, and we're here to help them facilitate those.
How has Kodapay supported?
So we're here to help them facilitate those. So they're the kind of the guy bridging the gap right here.
PayBridge historically, and particularly when it comes to like compliance and payments processing?
We've been supporting PayBridge for north of 10 years. And basically what we're doing here is we're helping to facilitate that transaction, make it possible for them to connect with us in a secured environment, number one. They need to be able to transmit that information securely. So we offer them that service, right? And then we take the file that they give us, and we're doing a number of things with those files that not only stay within compliance that we have our own internal compliance, but also regulatory compliance needs as well. That's our responsibility to take care of that for them. What maybe is a little different today in the file that they sent us with those transactions versus what they sent previously. The very first things we're going to do is we're going to look, is there any potential fraud? And if there is, we're going to pull that out, and now a human's going to take a look at it. We're going to say, okay, enough of the machine that gave us the alert, because a human can't look at 10,000 transactions, right? So the machine scrubbed it. Now the human's going to look at it, and we're going to call Tony and say, hey, Tony, you want to communicate with your client? We saw something that looks a little bit off on this particular batch for this particular client for this dollar amount and so forth. And we're going to ask him to communicate with his client, maybe all the way down to the employee, and then come back to us and say, yeah, there's a problem with that. Let's not release that. Or no, it's good. It's legitimate. Let's get that pushed out. So that's one of the first things we do. So once we get through that process with them, we load that information to our system. It pretty much sits here, and now it's going through the other parameters that we have established. What are the limits that we're allowing Tony and his clients to help protect Tony? What is the processing windows we have for them as well?
And Tony, that he's talking about, that's the CEO of PayBridge, by the way, guys. Let's continue.
Because we are going to schedule when transactions get debited and then when we're going to credit out. And that's based on how we work with Tony. And we're looking at all our processors kind of the same, right? We're looking from a risk environment. So it works from the top down. If we look at you as being a little higher risk, we're going to have a lot more restrictions on you. We're going to maybe require that it's a very long window. We're going to require that there has to be a wire that's submitted to us to fund these transactions. But we work with our customers to get them to help, obviously, us work and collect those funds in as short a time as period so we can continue to service that particular customer for them. And on the back end of all of that, all the different security protocols that we have to put in place. So we're very heavily regulated. And part of what gets regulated, part of what gets audited is what are those security protocols we have? You know, what's that info security systems we have? How's our IT? How's our network? How strong is everything? How does it actually formed and how does it actually work to help protect everything?
What strengths has the KOTAPAY FIBT relationship brought to the ZBCN PayBridge's payment infrastructure? And I think it would be really, really good to kind of cover that, because that then gives a really clear signal of why it was important for ZBCN to pursue that partnership.
Many things to touch on here, but KOTAPAY and FIBT have been instrumental to us being able to consistently and compliantly deliver payroll payments to employees in all 50 states, never being late once or missing a single payroll in all of these years. And with KOTAPAY operating as a division of a federally regulated bank and operating in the industry for, of course, over 100 years, ZBCN and PayBridge have teamed up with true veterans in the industry. And we bring kind of the next generation of payment technology to U.S. employers and consumers alongside industry experience and expertise.
So basically, they partnered with someone who's been 100 years in the industry. And again, they're basically setting up this parallel, if you will, system, this new and improved system of stablecoins that initially is going to operate side by side with the existing system until, you know, they can fade away the existing system, right? So this is basically what I'm gathering from what Simon is saying there. Anything to add, brother?
Yeah, no, this is going back to what the guy was saying at the SIBOS. This is the trust factor, right? These guys been in business for 100 years, and they're testing and working with ZBCN, right? So we can trust them. And he mentioned, which I thought was pretty interesting, about the transactions. They can look at a group of transactions and then find the anomaly and have a human look at it. So it is going to weed out a whole lot of irregularities or data problems or weird issues that are happening in the files. So it's going to make the banking process excuse me, a lot more efficient and a lot more trusting, for lack of better words, right? So once you can see it and then you can trust it, and now they're going to make it even more trustworthy, it's going to be a win-win across the board. These guys are going to start seeing, they're going to find all kind of weird stuff nobody found before. And then people are going to be like, why haven't we been doing this? Right. And that's
Yep.
going to push this forward a lot faster than people are thinking or understanding. All they got to do is find one or two weird anomalies. They're like, oh man, we should have been doing this. Right. We should
Yep.
have been having this. Then they're probably going to set up some kind of parallel processing system that's running it on both ends. And once they start doing that, this thing is going to start growing way quicker than anybody ever expected it to.
Here we go. Yep. Let's continue.
KOTAPay has been also a major driver of our compliance efforts at ZBEC, of course, with them being SOC 2 compliant many years before we were, which ultimately drove our own drive to get the SOC 2 compliance. And it's helped us build our operational security and trust with customers, which is, of course, the number one factor.
Absolutely.
Again, here we go with the SOC 2. We've been pounding that home. Simon's been pounding home compliance. The fact that these guys are compliant and it's hard to get this compliance, this is going to set them head and shoulders above everyone else. Again, I keep going back to Metallicus, who is also SOC 2 compliant. Like they're leaders in the best in their respective fields, guys. Anything to add, brother?
Yeah, once you get to big business, right? Once you start moving lots of money, you got to be compliant, right? And once people see that you're compliant, it definitely helps, right? Instead of worrying about, is this legit? Are they trying to scam us or trying to rip us off? If you're compliant, all of that worry goes away. So once you start working towards your compliance and then you actually get compliant and get the certificate, it takes a lot of worry out of the process. So yeah, it's definitely good that they're working on it and have it. Because I think somebody mentioned in the comments they probably already have it. They just haven't made that announcement yet. So
no, they made the announcement for SOC 2. They do have SOC 2. We are waiting for they made that announcement. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, that's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yep.
Actually, that's a leap in the right direction, right? How many other cryptos are SOC 2 compliant?
Only one I can think of off the top of my head is Metallicus. Gotta believe that XRP and XLM are, but those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. Probably, of course, like most of the ISO ones are probably SOC 2. Stronghold, Hedera, others. But that just definitely puts the barrier of entry as far as it becomes to like competitors. It puts it very, very high. We already know XRP is going to do what XRP does, but as far as streaming payroll, as far as connecting, all these different assets, all of these different stable coins, almost like it's the key piece to the interledger, if you will. ZBEC is head and shoulders above the rest. And again, just to reference Metallicus again, Metallicus seems head and shoulders above the rest as far as connecting credit unions. One of the things you mentioned earlier, brother, was like, imagine like everybody having their own stable coin. And we played, I played this one yesterday from another guy at SIBOS that said the stable coins will be linked to, a central bank. So now imagine, you got Michigan State Credit Union stablecoin. You got City of Detroit stablecoin. You got City of Chicago stablecoin, all linked back to the central bank. It's going to be pretty interesting in how this will evolve, especially seeing as how like you have certain communities like the one I like to use is the college, where you got like Michigan State University. You got that whole area where you could have your own stable coin. It's interesting to see what's going to come out of this, because could a certain stable coin have a different value just because of the ecosystem it's in? Could a Michigan State stable coin somehow have a higher value in that area, right? In that campus area? Could they do something where they offer like real world assets or some type of NFT or some type of bonus if you pay in Michigan State Federal Credit Union dollars? This will be something really interesting to see what type of use cases come out of using a specialized stablecoin for your specific area. Like the city of Detroit, if you're using the city of Detroit stablecoin dollar, maybe you get certain rewards because you're using the city of Detroit stablecoin dollar in Detroit. And if you build up a certain amount of rewards, you get some type of points that you can redeem for, I don't know, lower taxes or a lower carbon footprint or something like that. It's just really interesting to see what can come out of this, because they have the ability to do that now. They will have the ability to do it. Like, hey, you used enough Detroit dollars to get 5% off your electric bill today. Like, wow, you know what I mean? That would be crazy. Like, people would be tripping over themselves to use Detroit dollars to get that 5% off their energy bill, especially if it's wintertime. You know what I mean? Shout out to another Detroiter over here. East Sider, let's go. Yeah, I was born on the east side, and I moved over to the west, and but I'm in Arizona now. But I didn't even know you were a Detroiter there, digital nomad investor. Let's go. Hamtramck, which is mostly Polish, but I digress. Nice to talk to another Detroiter here, but it'd be interesting to see in these different type of areas that have their own stable coin, what they can do with it and how they can incentivize using it. So I can't wait to see what happens here. We got some more Detroiters in the house. I appreciate you guys. But let's continue here.
Absolutely. And I think that's hugely important. One of the other pieces I was going to ask you, maybe how you see emerging payment technologies like stable coins fitting alongside like existing payroll infrastructure. Is that something that you feel like you could touch on now?
The beauty of what we've built at ZBCN is that it can integrate directly with any bank in the ACH system through our connection to Kodapay. So
it can integrate with any bank in the ACH system. Okay, so you gotta believe there's some interplay here with Stronghold. Gotta love that. Any thing to add, brother?
No,
Okay.
pretty interesting with the tax thing. I was thinking of that too, right? If you used your particular area or city, or maybe even by county, right? Each county has a token. If you use your token, if you went to Walmart or Costco's or something, you get a small discount or a tax rate decrease. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of interoperability advances or ways to use the token to their advantage, right? Cities are going to find a way to do some kind of reward system, some kind of tax rebate, some kind of discount using the Detroit token on Tuesdays or something, right? To increase the stable coin or token or however they figure to market it, right? There's going to be some kind of incentive, which is even further boost the use of crypto and crypto interoperability.
Because I mean, really, all you even have to do is be like, okay, well, you can get your tax return 2 weeks earlier by using Detroit like dollars. People will hop on that boy so quickly. So yeah, is this
So you find any way to save some money or make some money, right?
right?
Detroit find a way to make some money. Like, look, just do it on Tuesday through Thursday, right? We'll give you a extra $100 in your taxes. Everybody, mom's gonna be running to the store Tuesdays and Thursdays.
right? So it'll be very interesting, and I think they know this, and they just have it just waiting till all the infrastructure's in the right place, and then they'll do it. Then they'll hit us with it. But let's continue here.
Goal is to drive mass adoption, not by replacing the current system, but by plugging our rails into the Federal Reserve managed systems in the US, such as FedWire and FedNow, which already process trillions in daily transaction volume. And when you look at stablecoin technology, the benefit of adding it into existing payroll infrastructure really comes down to the improvements you see in speed, cost, and accessibility. We have use cases of employers that are on-ramping parts of their payroll flow and allowing their employees to select partial stablecoin payment. And for us, this is an incredibly important KPI that we are tracking to see those opt-in rates and volumes increase with time. Because for us, that's a statement that our value proposition of stablecoin payroll is increasingly more compelling than receiving your traditional payroll via fiat every 2 weeks. We're in talks with some of the largest payroll companies in the US for this sort of integration into their HCM platforms and payment flows. And the first of these should be announcing sometime next month, which we're super excited about. I can't get into too much detail about this right now.
From a payments processor perspective,
So hopefully next month we hear something announced by some of these payroll systems, maybe a ADP, maybe an Assure, maybe a Paychex. Who knows? They have a lot of connections there that they could possibly tap on from BlackRock. Robert Mitchnick, him and Simon were college mates. BlackRock is also kind of invested through different avenues, which we've shown you before on here. So it'd be very, very interesting to see what that announcement coming sometime early next month. So I think we're gonna have an October and a up November. not as nice when you say up November, huh? But I think we're definitely gonna have 2 months of flight here for ZBCN and the rest of the market here. Anything to add, brother?
Yeah, but as you mentioned, this is the sweet part of the crypto market, right? As October starts, it's up from here, right? October's up, November's up, maybe a Christmas rally through the end of the year. This is when a lot of investments come and a lot of announcements, right? So we're still expecting an announcement this month and maybe some in November. So as things start, short of some crazy black swan event, I think things are going to keep pumping through the end of the year.
Yeah, me as well. So let's continue here.
perspective, as part of FIBT, like what trends are you seeing in payroll, payments technology, and the adoption of those things at the moment?
The whole payroll process has changed a little bit in the last 5 years, right? Actually, some relatively dramatic shifts. You could start out with early wage access or earned wage access, right? So that's going to be capturing some of those dollars, potentially all of those dollars in a shorter time frame earlier. So those might be transactions that aren't necessarily coming through Kodapay. There's obviously a need for that service. There's a lot of people that take advantage of getting their money earlier than they used to in the past. We have seen some companies starting to adopt a shorter pay cycle. So those might be transactions that aren't necessarily coming through Kodapay, right? There's obviously a need for that service. There's a lot of people that take advantage of getting their money earlier than they used to in the past. We have seen some companies starting to adopt a shorter pay cycle because a number of their employees that they see, it might only cost them $1 to get paid immediately, but they're still looking at it saying, you know, we could maybe help out our customers. Why don't we do this a little more frequently? So we have seen some speed up of their normal payroll windows. In addition to that, you're now seeing the world of real-time payments. So the real-time payments piece, it's a very early technology. There's a lot of people that just don't understand it or aren't even aware that you can pretty much fund a payroll or fund an employee in a couple seconds, right? So that's the next piece that's kind of coming into play. Now, part of what we're pretty pleased with when it comes to a real-time payment environment is obviously let's fund that transaction right away. That protects a company like PayBridge. Their best protection is a wire or a very long window or move to a real-time payment through the clearinghouse or through FedNow. There's always risk. Just because something worked today doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow. So you think you know your customers, but it also still gives you a greater level of security, allows you maybe to sleep a little better at night. The more of those dollars you can get funded securely as early as possible. So we're seeing that part of it is starting to grow. It's going to take some more time before it becomes a little bit more of the norm, but that's going to be the next bigger impact when it comes to payroll.
What compliance, operational factors are you positioning yourself in to be able to handle large scale payroll processing, shorter windows, and those kind of things?
So we have people here from about 6 a.m. Central to 10 p.m. Central, and we process on Sunday. So we already have pretty extensive long operating hours where we're able to take a file and we're able to get it out right away. When you throw in the change or bringing in something like a real-time payment, you have to be ready to do that at midnight, in essence. If you want to pay an employee on Christmas Day, we have to build a system that is smart enough to see a real-time came in and there's a request, a file came in also to pay that employee or somebody else that same day. There is an infrastructure, there's a lot of back end moving parts, and there's a lot of different departments that come into play, not just a Kodapay, in order for this to work successfully.
How important is it?
Interesting. So he's saying with real-time payments, it's going to be, it's going to be multiple departments that come into play for that. I can imagine they already have some things like going with that. They've already been testing it somewhat. So it's interesting to know. Maybe Kodapay is not the ones involved with that, but I think having real-time payments is going to be a necessity, especially where people are heading as far as like with inflation. People getting paid immediately is going to be necessary for them to kind of combat inflation a bit. Because as it stands right now, it's really hard for people to wait, 2 weeks and get paid and balance all their bills with the way that things are inflating. I saw one lady in California. She was so mad that she bought like a coffee and a bagel, and it costed her like $32. It was something crazy like that. Like, can you imagine, right? that this is what something costs. People are just going to really need to have real-time payment and get some of this kind of payday loan stuff off their plate. Anything to add there, brother?
Yeah, no, I think this is great technology, but as you mentioned, I didn't even think about that. With real-time payments, there's definitely going to have to be somebody supporting it, right? If not actually doing it, it's going to have somebody monitoring it or somebody making sure that the feeds up, the API didn't fail. So it's going to be more support, right? Especially if it's running a stream, right? All day, every day. It's going to be more, I guess, chiefs in the kitchen, right? Monitoring it and keeping up. But as the society is going, it's definitely needed, right? It's going to be something that will support the way inflation, and I definitely know, like I've been telling about overdraft fees and waiting, and you mentioned 2 weeks. What about the people who get paid twice a month, right? I know people that are once a month, right? I know like some government folks only get paid twice a month. So, and not just 2 weeks, but you're waiting from the 15th through the end of the month. So if something happened at the beginning of the month, you got to wait a while before that check hits. So your account might be crazy negative about the time that check comes. So if you're streaming, and then like we are saying earlier with people that are not even around the bank, like we was talking about other countries, sometimes you got to walk to get the check cashed, and you got to get the
Yep.
money, then you got to go somewhere else. I was reading an article. This dude said when he gets paid, he got to take the week off. He got to walk 2 days to get the check cashed. Then he's got to walk another day to get the check that he cashed converted to his currency. Then he can come back. So I was like, man, that's a week every month. You can't even work, just trying to get paid. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's
saying? So
crazy, man. Yeah, I think too
yeah,
the
it's
people
crazy.
that work on the oil rigs, the frackers and all of that, they get paid monthly too. Like that's crazy, bro. I wouldn't even know how to deal with myself getting paid monthly, bro.
Yeah, that, and then you gotta go get everything taken care of, and you gotta come back to work. So just think if there's I just think as a productivity point of view, things are going to get way more productive if it's streaming and you can see the check. Like I think one of their examples was a kid in school. You're waiting to get paid just to get something to eat or get a sandwich or something, right? Versus if it's streaming, you working, you can go get a sandwich and coffee and get back to work, right? Versus you sitting around mad, you already got paid. So I think it's going to help productivity and it's going to keep people working, which will drive productivity. So it's definitely a win-win for the employee. And if the employer can make it work, it's definitely a win-win for the employer.
Yes, indeed. All right, so let's go ahead and continue here.
For financial institutions to partner with payroll processors and fintech companies that are really starting to present new innovative solutions to the industry itself?
When it comes to real-time payments, every financial institution is going to have to participate, whether it's directly themselves or a correspondent that is assisting them with that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of small banks that just don't have the resources to do it themselves, so they're going to have to partner with somebody. If you're a financial institution, one of the things you're looking at is how can I grow my deposits? How can I expand on my stickiness with some customers? Getting into that type of solution is very important for them. Obviously, this world moves on money, right? No matter any way you look at it. And there's inherent risk whenever you're moving money. You just think about the regulatory environment of knowing who your customer is, knowing where these funds have come from. You have to be able to answer those questions. So you have to have the proper systems and the correct people in place in order to be able to manage that effectively.
The evolution of this sector is a very exciting and interesting one, and it's certainly going to help a lot of people around the world, and particularly in America, in terms of their day-to-day living and their access to their funds.
I think it's great that ZBEC isn't just trying to bank the unbanked, but it's actually looking at their circumstances and truly tailored to their needs as an employee.
So I guess I want to thank you for coming up and
That's cool. So ZBCN is trying to bank the unbanked, and besides trying to bank the unbanked, they're looking at their needs. So you guys might hear some things that are a little weird in the recording. It looks like they might have just run it through an AI, kind of filter to take out the pauses and things like that. So it made it shorter for us to hear. Because the AI thing, they have them that you can use them, and it'll take out all the pauses and the ums and the uhs. So if you guys are hearing that, that's no big deal. It's just they did that so it took out the pauses and the ums and the uhs, so it's quicker for us to listen to. But anything there, brother?
I was looking at the comment. Somebody said getting paid daily makes it harder for the government to rob you.
Yes.
So yeah, that's
Hilarious.
definitely a good plus too.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's continue.
joining me and talking about it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for the time as well. It was great to have this conversation. Probably about the last piece that I want to bring up, and we talked about fast. That is not going to change. We are working ourselves on what can we do to pay that employee faster without it being an early wage access. So that's the next piece that we're developing ourselves, that we're going to be bringing out to the market, because it's free and it's good secured funds as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ben, for hosting.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time, and have a great day.
Very nice that we finally got Kodapay on here. It's good to see the connection with Natcha. That really just further cements to us that this is the new Swift, bridging from the old Swift, and putting things into place to bridge these guys from the old ACH type of system over to the stablecoin, cross-border, cross-asset system here. And yeah, anything there to add, brother?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, so let's take a look at some of our comments here. There are a ton of them. Thank you guys for being an active crowd tonight. I love it. We always enjoy this part of the show where we hit all of our comments. I'm going to try to look through and get some of the questions here that are very important. We might not be able to do it like we do a normal show, because we'd be here for 2 hours if we got to all of these comments. You guys, love it. Thank you guys for being very, very active in the comments here. So let's see here. Shout out to Yazi Yair Bay. What's up, brother? Bay in the house. Shout out to Santiago Enriquez. Santiago Enriquez, from the thought of creating a dream solution to back as the new system, the new payment system to overtake the old 100%. Let's see here. Already acknowledged a lot of guys here. What's up, Salamander? What's up, Caesar Dumet? What's up from Pharmacopoeia, watching in Texas? What's up to ZBCN, man? What's going on, brother? Let's see here. What's up, Rise Above? What's up, JSK in the house? Okay, everybody like the captions. Let's see. See if there's any questions here. Okay, you see from Crypto Liking videos, my man explained, okay, my mind exploded. Yeah, I've seen some of the Crypto Liking videos, how he says XPR is connected to the Simpsons and different things like that. Some of those, I think are pretty cool. Some of those is like, I don't know what's going on here. It's like a lot of connections, but I'm a believer in Metallicus, and what they have going on is very clear that they're building a bank of the future there with Metallicus. And they just recently listed Stellar. They're one of the few places you can earn yield on Stellar right now, as far as I know. If we just go ahead and bring them up right quick, you'll see they have in their market almost, at one point this was as high as 68 million. We got 66.8 million right now. They have over almost 8 million XRP locked, which is awesome. In their lending platform, their loan markets, we have XRP, USDC, XPR, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hedera, Stellar, Dogecoin, Cardano, MeadowDAO, Litecoin, and Tether. And I love it. I love what they're doing here. Let's see. Salamander, congratulations. Finally a shark with ZBCN. Let's go. When does the bull cycle end? I don't think the bull cycle is going to end until sometime in 2026. I really don't think that it's going to end until 2026. The way things are going, where ISO is finally getting fully implemented right here, where the coexistence period between the old system and new kind of ends here 11/22. But you can already see from what we talked about here with this ACH payments that the old system is going to stick around for a bit, but they're ultimately looking to move everyone to the new system with the stable coins, right? I've been asking random people too at the gym about crypto, and they don't know much. See, yeah. Kodapay partnership, ZBCN is so hot right now. Asking for a friend. Yeah. ZBCN is hot like fire out right now out here. For the XRP, the bull market won't end. Japan is about to collapse. Who was this X-Hat guest? Our guy BTM, Black Tiger Miner. Definitely check out his channel. Let's highlight his channel and some others here. If we go, let's go to X here and pull up his channel. So definitely check out our brother Black Tiger Miner here. You see his YouTube. If you go from his YouTube over to his channel here, you can check out his latest show here. We have Caspa show here going on, and XRP, and yeah. So past live streams, we got a couple here with ZBCN. Definitely check out Black Tiger Miner over here, guys, if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. And then, oh, I'm not sharing the right tab. Gosh darn it, guys. Sorry about that. Definitely check out our brother Black Tiger Miner. Now I'm sharing the right tab. He has a show from Casper here 6 days ago. One for XRP a day ago. And a couple here from ZBCN. And then here, if you go over here, check this out. Definitely come over to the channel, my channel, if you guys have not liked and subscribed. We're trying to get to 8,000 subs here. ZBCN, is it really happening? We had a couple days ago, we broke down Linea versus XRP. Okay. We had some banger of shows lately. The American Dream is now 5 million. Can you afford to miss ZBCN? Various shows on Metallicus, various shows on Swift Blockchain, XCN, and some others. If you scroll down here, we have some other creators as far as like Underdog Research Channel, Shook Focus Digital, Maximus Crypto, the Mooniverse, Gentlemen of Crypto, and others. Crypto Future, we had him in the house over here today for a while. Shout out to Crypto Future. Shout out to Ronin Experience. Shout out to the Crypto Crossroads Show. We also had him in the house here today. Definitely go check out our brother Crypto Crossroads Show. Again, he's only been around for like 7 or 8 months here. He's already at 708 subscribers. Let's get our brother to 1,000 out here. Definitely go check him out. He covers Lightlink and Kita and some other things. Definitely check out our brother Shook Focus Digital. We recently did a collaboration on Swift Blockchain. You definitely want to check him out. A couple of his recent videos he's done on, let's see if we got the recent ones here. We did one on Swift Blockchain, but he's also done one on Dovu, and one on Cubic, and one on XPR. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And yeah, let's continue on here. What's up, Crypto Pete? What's up, Richard Russell? American Dream is out of reach. Yeah, man, like that. Definitely go check out that show if you guys haven't already. We went into it 5 million for the American Dream out here, guys. can you really afford to miss ZBEC and other things if you know that the American dream is $5 million, right? Like, to me, you can't. That's me personally, not financial advice or anything like that. But recognize your opportunity as a crypto investor here. You know, the way things heading, you can't afford to miss ZBEC and other cryptos. You can't do it. Quick question. Rob Mass Crypto Future said on his recent vid that ZBEC will implement a much larger staking and lockup and super app. When do you think that will be implemented? Well, they told us they'll give us the super app at the end of the month here. So they also said they planned on doing larger staking and lockup in the future with Uphold. That is something they said on their spaces. Shout out to Crypto Future on that. He's completely right on that. That is something that the CEO Simon Bebekani told us. When that is going to happen, we shall see. Honestly, I think they're probably going to roll it out pretty soon, because if they give us the sports betting and everything, they're probably going to want to give us, you know, super app, and they're probably going to want to give us, you know, more staking and things on Uphold, because once people get on Uphold because of the super app or because of the sports betting, they're probably going to want them to try to now buy ZBEC and stake it up and lock it up long term. So I definitely think we get that very, very soon. So shout out to Crypto Future for that information. Dave F. very bullish on XPR. Z freaking back is a beast out here. 100%. I think they'll be flipping a bit. Clunk City, Zesty's back. Well, you know, Zesty used to be a bad slang term back in the day, at least for certain things. So I don't know. We might want to be careful with the Zesty term. But yeah, Zesty's back out here. But you know, I love everybody. By the way, I love everybody. Everybody I love out here. Let's continue on here. Never tell anyone how much crypto you have. Never out here. Yeah, 100%. Zeus, you got a big bag of XRP, I bet. Let's continue on here. Okay, I'm equal. What's up, Hitter All Day? I'm equally bullish on ZBEC, Metal, and XPR. They are some serious bangers. Seriously, they're my top three. And Ondo is definitely one that's a great call out there. Hitter All Day for sure. Ondo, guys, if you're not familiar, Ondo has BlackRock ties. If you don't believe me, let me bring it up so I can show you. Anything to add here, brother, while I bring that up?
Definitely look into, what was that? Ondo and XPR. XPR had ran for a minute and then kind of slowed down, but I think it might pick back up. And a lot of people are comparing it. And a guy was talking to me. He didn't even know anything about crypto. He was like, have you heard of XPR? And I thought he was talking about XRP, and he showed it to me. I was like, wow, where'd you find that at? But, you know, I've known about it, but I was like, yeah, it's actually a pretty decent investment. So definitely research XPR as well. And I did find out some new interesting things about Ondo. So Ondo is also one that's going to be a heavy hitter in this bull run. So definitely research that as well. Definitely, been spending some time. I might start doing some Ondo videos as well.
Nice. So yeah, guys, yeah, definitely check out Ondo. We do have one video in the coffer where it's like XCN or ZBCN and Ondo. Definitely check that out. Definitely be on the lookout for Black Tiger Miner Ondo videos, because there's always Ondo news daily. These guys are surely, they drop daily news on their Twitter. But we have Ondo ecosystem pulled up here. You will recognize some huge names on this Ondo ecosystem. Alchemy Pay, Anchorage Digital, Aptos, Aquarius, XLR, Arbitrum, BlackRock, yes, the BlackRock, Chainlink, Coinbase, Copper, if you're really familiar with British institutional custody. Copper is like the British Fireblocks for you guys who are familiar with Fireblocks. Ethereum, First Citizens Bank. These First Citizens Bank, they basically bought all the crypto books from what was it, Silvergate Financial. So this is the new Silvergate Financial, First Citizens Bank. Shout out to the patrons. You guys are aware of this. Fireblocks, which we mentioned them earlier. Franklin Templeton, just on down the line here. Google Cloud, all of these guys in a deal with Ondo. Injective, Connexis by JP Morgan, which I really think this is on exchange. Okay. LCX, Ledger, and they don't say on exchange by purpose because I think they're trying to hide the fact that this is on exchange, right? Shout out to Shook Focus Digital. He's aware of this. L Bank, Layer Zero. Did I say LCX? You guys know when the channel started, I've been speaking a ton about LCX. I got a big bag of LCX. Very much a believer in LCX. MasterCard, which we know is teamed with ZBCN, Lobster Wallet, Mercado, Bitcoin, MEXC, MetaMask Institutional, OKX, which we know OKX is teamed with ZBCN, Osmosis, PayPal, Pendle, Plume, which we know our brother Underdog Research Channel has been speaking on, Phantom Wallet, Polygon, and we're not even done with the list. This is all partners of Ondo. Pith, Radium, Ripio, which Tim Draper backed. A lot of these are Tim Draper backed, by the way. Tim Draper backed Latin America exchange. Okay. Ripple, RWA, Real World Asset.xyz, Say, Sui, Trust Wallet, Wisdom Tree, Wintermute, XRP, ZBCN, and finally Zodiac Custody. All those partnered with Ondo, including BlackRock. Multi-chain future, guys. The multi-chain future. Okay? Because, of course, Ethereum, which I don't think we said in here. But all of these. Ethereum, we said XRP. I think, did we say Stellar? There's Stellar platforms on here, even though they may not say Stellar. But they're Solana, Stellar. So, yeah, Stellar. Multi-chain future, guys. Okay, Sui. Very clear. Multi-chain future ahead of us. I'm very heavy on XPR, XRP, ZBCN, and Crow. Let's see. Keep going on chats. Super app tomorrow. We shall see. What's up, Tony S? Ru, how high do you see Digibyte going this cycle? What's really your conservative price? I don't cover DigiCycle, but I probably should. Digibyte, I'm sorry. Let's look at market cap of A. I always like to kind of bring that up, and we know market cap is not a one-to-one relationship of what a price is, right? There is a certain multiplier on market cap. So like when you see something that says like 5 billion market cap, it doesn't mean that 5 billion of liquidity total is in that coin. It's just like kind of the active amount at that time plus a certain multiplier. So for instance, the reason why you can really kind of find this out is like meme coins will have like a quote unquote million of market cap, $1 million market cap, and they'll get drained of like 200K or 300K, and they're like all done pretty much. So there is a certain bit of multiplier attached to market cap price. But let's look at DGB. I think it's Digibyte. So if Digibyte had the amount of money that Cass has in it now, which is 2 million, it would be, or 2 billion, excuse me, it would be around 11 cents, which is a 14x from now. If it had the 5 billion, almost 5 billion in it, it again is some multiplier here, it would be almost 28 cents. Okay, so something to think about, and that would be 35x from here. Something to think about. Let's see. No, XRP is definitely needed. It's definitely needed. The whole system is built on XRP. So guys, the thing to understand is countries have already been hoarding XRP. So XRP ETP Switzerland. So it's not it's very apparent that XRP is going to be used for the central banks. It's very apparent. There are XRP ETFs and stuff that have been around for 2 to 3 years before ours were even active, right? Let me see. XRP ETFs, ETP, and ETFs around the world. So once you understand that, you realize, I guess people are, these are going to be assets. Let me see. Will this show them all? I had a whole show where I went over like a ton of these. Is it gonna block me or no? Let me see. Okay, it's not. I can't remember where that website is, but let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Crypto, I think, what did I put in? Crypto. ETFs and ETPs around the world. Let's see if I can get. Okay, there we go. We'll show it. Okay, I can't find the site that I used to find this in the past, but there have already been XRP and different ETFs and Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs around the world before we had ours. So this is from this particular one is from September 20th, 2023. They don't show any XRP ones on here, but they show XBT is what Bitcoin used to be called back in the day. So they show a bunch of Bitcoin ones. They show Ethereum one. They don't show XRP ones, but they trust me, they're here. I would just have to find the website that I used for this in the past. I can't figure it out right now for some reason. But yeah, these have been around for quite a long time, right? And to me, it just shows you that XRP has been planned for a long time, right? Definitely look up Smoke, and you'll see all the documents that Smoke has where XRP has been used for a long time. I definitely disagree with you as far as XRP goes with that. Quant, you can make an argument about that, but I know that Jesse and Max and I haven't done as much research with Quant as I have with XRP. So I can't necessarily tell you with Quant, and I'm not going to BS you. I really appreciate the trust of my audience, but from what Jesse and Max have told me, Quant has a really good use case. And I have seen from the stuff that Max has just shared on my show about Quant, I really believe that Quant has a big future. So anything to add there, brother?
Yeah. I saw something about Quant that had me interested. I can't remember what it was offhand, but there's definitely something Quant either working on or working towards. I can't remember what it is because I was looking at it for a while and I stopped, and then I found something recently about Quant that somebody had brought up. I want to say it's interoperability, or there is something they just partnered with. I'm trying to find that actually. Yeah, there's definitely going to be something with Quant as well as XRP.
Well, shout out to Mind Crypto. He does some really nice posts on Quant, and I'm gonna have somebody come on talk about Quant on a weekend here. So here he's saying that liquidity pools keep growing, another 10% increase on SHX, but he's been posting that people have been okay. And here it is, Quant, another transaction to the wallet today. Total accumulated 500,488 Quant. No outflows, only holds Quant. So people are picking up Quant right now. Now, could this be because we're only a month away from ISO going live in the rest of the world? And I really think Quant's really important for the digital pound, right? I showed you guys that earlier in the show where I can bring that up right now. Digital Pound Foundation, two of the members, Quant and Ripple, right? So to just say that their old technology and the people involved in this, you don't just throw that away. You don't throw that away at all. Yeah. So I think you might be missing the thing, the point as far as Quant and Ripple go. These things have been tested, approved. Like it's obvious at this point to me. And I wish I could find those different ETFs where they've been holding XRP for years, right? Let's see. For years in these ETFs, and they make it like, oh, the American ETFs finally, and these have been around for freaking years with XRP, and nobody knows about it. Let me see. This might be one of them right here. Let me see. XRP. Okay, but it doesn't have the year that they were created, but I can show it to you guys here. Nope, No, it doesn't. It doesn't have the right ones. Never mind. Okay, well, here we go. 21 shares Ripple XRP ETP. This is in the EU. 21 shares usually blocks you from seeing stuff, like and how long it's been around. If it's not, because like if we try to go click on it, I think it may block when it actually came out. Okay, yeah, I can't see when it actually came out, but trust. I hate to say the trust me, bro, but I wasn't prepared to bring that part up. But yeah, they're XRP ETFs that have been around for a couple years in other countries. They're not hoarding it for no reason, right? Thank you, Brett, for reposting the stream. Let's see here. And we did bring up ECH with Stronghold. XRP is a high value asset, 100%. What about Swift and the ZBCN? Are they partnering? I think we can kind of imply that they're partnering, but that nothing has been officially announced. But if you kind of look at all the connectors, what they showed us with the whole Linea type of thing and all the different banks that they're working with, we could say that ZBCN is going to be responsible for moving stablecoins to all these different banks. But until we hear something, we would just be speculating. Swift and ZBCN are confirmed partners through Kodapay. Gotcha. Yep. I mean, there we go. That could be it. Let's see. They said they've been around for 100 years. That could be. This comment on AI is hilarious. Using AI myself is much more than web search. I have 10 research assistants on who work for free 24/7. Yeah, well, I understand what Black Tiger Miner is coming from when he says web search. Because if you guys remember back in the day, what the way that the Google search engine worked, it used to work way better than it used to now. I've been doing development since the 2000s, right? The early 2000s, in college, coding. The Google search, web search used to work way better than it did now. It worked more like ChatGPT works right now. And over the years, they started filtering and making it worse and doing different things with it. But of course, yeah, AI does have some learnings built into it. So did the Google web search at that time. But be that as it may, I do still caution people thinking that AI is going to be this solve all this cure all. AI is only as good as the information that it can hold, and only as good as the information contained inside of it. So if I, for some reason, decided not to include some information in AI, or I decided to exclude some information from AI, then it is not accessible to it. So that is something to just keep in mind there. But anyways, it is a tool that makes things very easy. I definitely use AI for different things in my life. And it makes it way, 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 way easier. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that it's not helpful. I'm just saying it's not the cure all, Any comment on that, brother?
Yeah. No. I think maybe I said it wrong. AI is definitely helpful, right? You can do code. I do a lot of weird things with AI, like start to write code. And I was looking at one of the guys created a meme coin. He said he kept going back and making changes and updating it and working on it and adding, like you get an error, you go back and load it and reload it. And eventually the AI will kind of figure out what you're trying to do. So it'll help you do it. So it's definitely more helpful than not. It's just sometimes people get carried away, right? Get on a rabbit hole and go the wrong way, right? Kind of cater the questions and it kind of takes you down a path where once it gets off track, it just keeps going further and further and further left field. So you got to be careful to make sure you put the right prompts in and you're kind of following it, right? You let it go by itself, it'll take you all the way down some weird rap. Like, wait a minute, what? This kind of veered away from what I was looking for.
Yeah, and you know what? I swear, I'm telling you guys, this is how Google search engine used to work back in the day when I had like my first internship in like 2007. If you said the right words to the right way in the Google search engine, it will give you way more than you got today, right? And I know people are going to be like, I know there's relational database stuff and there's learning built into AI. I get that. I understand that. But the Google search engine used to work kind of like that a lot better than it does today. So yeah. But oh wow, you're listening all the way from Okinawa, Japan. That's amazing. I want to visit Okinawa, Japan one of these days. A digital nomad investor, you're in Bangkok. That's crazy, bro. So you guys are definitely taking advantage of your dollar over in these places. Very, very much, very cool. Paul Andrew and Rue We Trust. I appreciate it. So yeah, Super App should be coming by the end of the month, so they say. What's up, Mr. Brian on Acres on Solana? All right, cool. We and thank you again for your faithful $5 super chat. T Riley 05. We kind of made it through all our comments like really fast today, guys. Sorry I can't make it through all the comments today. Gotta respect Black Tiger Miner's time. And there's no way we make it through all of these boys today. Thank you guys so much for coming through. And yeah, anything to add, brother, in closing?
Oh, no. I think I had a good show today. Thanks for bringing me on again. And another successful show. Appreciate all the information. Hope you guys are soaking it up. And thanks. And let's get back to the money, guys. And stay dangerous.
Let's go. And if you guys made it to the end, please put Kodapay in the chat. Not in the live chat, but in the actual chat of the video, right? It helps spread the video around. The more comments we get, the more the video spreads. Thank you guys so much for coming through. I'm out. We're out. Peace.